Hello everybody, it's 6:10 in the evening of January 8th, Monday, 2024. My name is Brook. The reason I decided to hit record is because I stumbled upon a forum where a thread where somebody is pissed, and apparently it's about dating at a certain age, and the original poster is frustrated that on dating sites, on dating profiles, on dating sites, people like to post about traveling, the countries that they've been to, the pictures that they took there, the hikes, the this, the that, the other. So the poster is like, why is everyone so obsessed with traveling? Yeah, so you climbed this mountain, good for you. So you had dinner with monks at this place. Okay, so you did a full moon, this, that, and the other in Thailand. Who cares? So I didn't even finish that. The thing that came to my mind was, I think every once in a blue moon I'll think about is that when I first came to America and I was like heavily trying to find somebody to date. I'm mentioning the time that I came to America, which was about a decade ago, because it was so different to when I was in South Africa, which is where I'm originally from. When I was in South Africa, dating online, it wasn't the easiest. However, I never felt like, am I too fat? Am I too this? I would feel that maybe I was too black, meaning I was black, which I still am. And I think that a lot of people online at the time were not black. So that was kind of like a hindrance. We can talk about that some other time. Maybe we won't. Who cares? But when I came here to America, I posted on a dating site. I was like, okay, we'll find me a boyfriend. Like, this is a necessity because I needed to build up a social circle of some sort. Or just, a partner who would become my entire social circle. Not a good idea, but, you take what you can get. When I tell you, some people probably would say it, or they'll post on their profiles that, you have to be a certain size or weight or that kind of thing. And I was like, I don't qualify because I was too big for certain people. A lot of the people that I was attracted to. Of course, this is just based on the photos that I was seeing. I didn't know how long those photos were on there. I didn't know how long those people had been on those sites, etc. I was a newcomer. Then I was like, this is me in the East Coast. Eventually, I found a guy, and that's not what we're talking about here. So that worked out. He was excited to be with me. I was excited to finally found somebody. He was older, but he was very youthful. It was exciting. I was like, let's see how far we can take this. That didn't work out. It didn't even last at all. But I don't know. That story is on my blog, BABBLING.com. I went back to the dating site, same dating site, and I found somebody who, I don't even want to go into those details. Oh my God, that was just like such an interesting coupledom. So when that didn't work out, I was like, oh shit. Okay. I went to Utah. When I was there, it was hard. I think what made it hard to find a partner there for me, this is maybe facts, but it could also be just my point of view. When I was in Utah, everybody was not a Mormon. However, I did go out with one. I'm not going to go into all the details. I thought about him earlier today for no reason, just randomly. He was one of the hottest guys I've ever been on a date with. My gosh. When I tell you, I was like, what? This guy wants to go on a date with me? I was just like, my mind was so boggled. I was like, okay, let's go. And that story is also on my blog, actually. Then I feel like if I read my blog, I would be like, what the hell was I doing? I can't believe this happened. Because some of the stories are just like, all right, we're back in California. Let us find me a man. Felt like I was, and now I'm living in Hollywood. So now it's like the stakes, just like so freaking impossible. I was like, are you kidding me? It is so hard to find even a first date person. It will be somebody from like Fresno, which is more or less Central California, Central Valley. You can find a lot of my dating stories on my blog. In fact, I probably stopped blogging when I stopped dating. Maybe I ran out of material. I didn't even know that's why. I'm distracted now. I'm thinking about, have I not been on a date since I haven't blogged? Kinda. I haven't been on a date in a very long time. But I know a couple of people who will beg to differ. No, sir, that was not a date. The other one was not a date either. I mean, not just Los Angeles, but in Hollywood, trying to find a date. And I was living in a studio apartment that I was sharing. I worked background acting as an extra type gigs. That's how I was paying my bills, but my bills were paid. And the fact that I was sharing my studio was to ensure that my bills were paid. I didn't have a car at the time. So I did have a job, but I didn't have a car. And I noticed people were like, yeah, I must have a car. Like I would read, obviously, the profiles of the people that I would start interacting with. I think this was pre-Tinder. Tinder? I don't know, pre-Tinder. So now I don't even know if the weight is so much of an issue, but I for sure know that I don't qualify because they'll be like, must have your own place. And I'm like, are these people kidding? Like, people actually can afford. It's still, honestly, after all these years of not living in Hollywood or in Los Angeles, it's still a mystery to me how people who are still starting out or who haven't found their footing in the industry, how are they sustaining themselves? Like I listen to a lot of comedian podcasts. I feel like a lot of podcasts are by comedians. Am I wrong? Like, these are people who never had like roommates or whatever. They'll say they had a studio in a shitty location and stuff like that. But I'm like, how's nobody having a roommate? Am I the only one who was struggling at the time? Like, I'm like, what? I had a roommate in the studio. And I knew people who were sleeping on a couch in other people's places, etc. But I also knew people who, were living in houses by themselves, who owned like 4-bedroom houses, who were doing the same thing I was doing. It was so confusing to me. Still, I'm not able to wrap my head around it. Like, how are these people sustaining themselves? Now, cut to today, probably people look at my life and they're like, how is this girl who's always locked up in that freaking house, how is she sustaining herself? Like, she never even comes out at all. And then her car is gone, so she's traveling. And then she's back, and then she locks herself in that freaking house, and then she travels. Like, I'm probably just as much of a mystery as, I suppose. My point is, it was hard to find somebody because I didn't qualify. I didn't have a car. And everybody was like, yeah, we live in LA. You must have your own car. Like, I'm not picking you up or whatever. And they wanted you to have like a job. But I didn't not have a job. You know what I mean? But I felt like without having a car, I know that some people don't even read the profiles of people. They just start chatting or they just catfish you and all of that. But I was serious about looking for a partner, and I'm honest to a fault. So it was just like not realistic for me. It wouldn't be realistic for me to try and find somebody and cheat my way into somebody's heart and then hope for the best. Like, no. Like, what a waste of time. Like, no. I put on like a bunch of weight, but then I lost. And like, this is the story of my life. So then I lost weight. Then I found a partner and we became serious, moved in together. He didn't care about my size. In fact, I think the bigger the better, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, he didn't mind. He just wanted a solid person, which was so great. I was like, oh my gosh. And he was everything that I wanted at the time. Probably still want. Nah, I want other things now. Or nothing. And when I found this guy, oh my gosh, I just had an aha moment. I'm saying he just wanted somebody who's solid and whatever, and that's all he wanted. But you know what? What the fuck? Maybe he didn't. Maybe, oh my, The funny thing is, when I found him, I had my own apartment, did not have a roommate. I had a 1-bedroom apartment, and I had a car, and I was living in Beverly Hills. So it's so funny that I'm like, oh my God, I literally am having this aha moment right now. Because I'm like, yeah, he just wanted, and so it didn't matter to him. But maybe he did. Maybe I did meet those requirements that, other people wanted. And I was struggling to find somebody all those times. I did, I would date here and there, but I didn't really have a boyfriend. I mean, I couldn't lend anybody. I kind of did in Vegas. But I had my own little studio that I was not sharing with anybody there. My weight was fluctuating, but I wasn't particularly small in Vegas. And so maybe that is the guy who was just looking for somebody who's solid. Because in his case, we were just dating. And he actually was one of probably my most peaceful relationships, where he was kind of crazy too. So LA, that didn't work out, where the serious relationship that I was in. And then I was like, okay, let's go back to the dating sites. Let's see what else is going on there. This time, I am confident. I lost so much weight. I look great. I've always looked great. I looked good. I felt good about myself. I had a couple emotional wounds from the relationship, but you cannot see those from outside, right? I had my own car still. Nice SUV that I still have, should sell. And I had my own studio apartment that was kind of like a 1-bedroom in the way that it was designed. It had a dining room area, kitchen area, walk-in closet, that kind of deal. This was like a dressing room. Actually, it wasn't just a walk-in closet. It was like a dressing room, like a whole room. I loved that place. I love that place, and I love my place in Beverly Hills. I'm not doing too shabby in America, I have to tell you. Hindsight, of course, being 2020. I did have a couple places of my own, and I didn't hate my places. I lived in decent places, but also, you are in America. So I don't know, maybe if I were in another country, but I feel like even here in America, it is possible to live. I've never lived in my car, thank God, knock on wood. And, I've always been taken care of by the universe, really by myself, but you know what I mean. Thank God, I'm very thankful for all of that. So now, yeah, I'm in my studio, right? That is nice and whatever. And I go on these dating sites. Man, I was feeling good about my weight because I was in the process of losing weight. I was still continuing to lose a ton of weight. Ultimately, I lost 50% of my body weight. So I was dressing nicely, just killing it, just excited. I was in that zone with regards to my weight. And I had everything else. I had my place. I had money in the bank. I always had money in the bank. But I wasn't going to put that on the profile. What the fuck? I'm not trying to get scammed. I'm not trying to get Tinder swindled. By the way, none of these dates were on Tinder. Never did Tinder. Or Bumble or Jumble or any of this. So I would go on the same, I remember going to the same dating site that I had found the first two guys that I dated here in America. And subsequently, lived with, but whatever. They were both very short-lived relationships. We're talking weeks. When I went on that dating site, all the guys that I was too big for, or too this for, or too that for, now I kind of qualified for their requirements, but they didn't qualify for mine. That is the whole point of this whole podcast today, this episode. I would look at them and be like, are you kidding me? Like, I think that the reason that I even looked at them and hoped that there would be a match with me it wasn't a lack of self-esteem, because I've always dated good-looking guys. Like, that's what makes the veg moist. But there was a certain level of settling because of just state of affairs, put it that way. You're new in the country, you want to have somebody in your life, you want this, that, and the other. And it seemed like somebody who could provide those things that I wanted, maybe mainly security, it would have been somebody older. So a lot of these guys were older on the site. I wasn't looking for an older guy, but a lot of them were older. And I was like, sure. But I was like, sorry, I'm not settling anymore. I have my own car. I have my own place. I have all these things that you guys wanted me to have in order to be able to date you. But you guys don't qualify to date me now. So the scales, the balance had shifted. I found that so interesting. And then also realized that this is 5, 6, maybe even 7 years later, and these guys are still on here. I mean, they probably thought the same thing about me, but what are the chances that all of these freaking guys... And luckily, I never deleted my profiles, my messages. Why should you? So somebody would try to hit on me or message me or send me a flower or whatever on my site, and I would be like, I did reach out to this person. And I was also actually almost impressed by how, I reached out first to so many people. I was gutsy, ballsy. And I was like, I would see the conversation and be like, oh, wow, they never even bothered to respond. This message was probably automatically filtered because I didn't fit their type according to their profile requirements. And I'll be like, nope, you don't fit my type now. And it was empowering to a degree. So I got out of that site because actually I did meet somebody there. That didn't work out. It was not a relationship. It was just kind of like a hookup, I guess. He lived across the country. We both knew it wasn't going to be a relationship. But we treated it as if it's a marriage. It's weird. I was going to move to freaking Ohio, and the first message he sent me was, why would you want to move to Ohio from live in Los Angeles? Why would you want to move to Ohio? And I thought, exactly. But so that whole thing was just gross. I don't know. I get eked out when I think about him. That whole experience is so weird. But maybe it's something that I needed. I don't know, I guess. It wasn't horrible. It was just yucky. I went to Ohio to spend some time with him. He was like, I want to move in here. I'm like, no, dude. We're not doing that. I'm not moving to freaking Ohio. I'm finding my footing in Los Angeles. I have my own place, no roommate. Not trying to roommate, no friends. Don't want to know anybody in my place. I loved the direction my life was going, especially coming out of that crazy relationship and struggling so much to find that place. But when I did, it was perfect. So thankful. It was so cute. And in Pasadena, dude, South Pasadena, nice area. So convenient. Anyway, and then I met somebody else. I keep feeling like the people that I end up with, it seems like they're not looking for like vanity. But I am good looking and I do have a lot to offer. So maybe, I don't know if it's a fact, Jack, or it's me who is lying to themselves by thinking that these folks are not in it for the vanity. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm like, okay, this guy, he seemed like a down-to-earth guy. I always feel like the guys I end up with are down-to-earth. And I really believe that. Maybe that's the kind of guy I'm attracted to. Who doesn't want a down-to-earth person? Like, right? This guy I ended up with, I mean, I'm not under the impression he cared if I had a car or not. I mean, of course he would want me to have a car because he lived an hour away. So, you know what I mean? But I feel like he probably would have come, I don't know. He came to my place and he drove me around a lot in his cars. So, okay, car. I know I said cars. Once I got to a certain place of stability in my life in America, I didn't move back and be unstable again. I did live in a truck, but when I was there, I was operating from a different vibration. When I lived in, my life changed completely after Vegas. And Vegas was only 2014, which was only a couple of years since I'd been in America, since I moved to America. So I'm very lucky in that. Yeah, I probably went through a couple of things, blah, blah, blah. But if you really think about it, and by the way, I'm taking stock of all of that right now as we speak. I lived in more than 10 places by then, already in 2 years. So it felt like it was so long and so unstable and so, oh my gosh, so many states, East Coast, West Coast, freaking Northwest, a lot. Is Utah in the Northwest? All of that within the first 2 years. But also within the first 2 years, my life changed. And I started, oh my God, I'm just realizing this now. Vegas was in 2014. I came to America in 2012. Dang. I always look at people's stories and am envious of people's immigration stories. I'm like, wow, you got your green card right away, you got you got your citizenship or whatever. I had to struggle in certain aspects of my life. All of that is on my blog, BABBLING.com. And some of it is on my YouTube. And I had a job and a place to stay in Utah after I went through a couple of hellish experiences. Maybe more than a couple, maybe 5, 7 hellish experiences. But I did have a place that I loved in Utah with, I had a roommate, right, in a condo that they owned. They were never home because they were in love and they lived with their partner. But they would, I knew subconsciously that I wasn't living by myself. But I did have the whole place to myself a lot of the time. And I had a job where I could walk 1 mile to my job. And sometimes my friend would give me a ride home. We worked the same shift. So that was not a completely terrible period in my life. And I was there for 6 months having all of that. And that was in 2013. And I came to the country in 2012. Wow. I really need to sit down and actually take stock of my life and give thanks. I mean, I'm doing it now, but yeah. Anyway, I digress so much. So, wow, there's so much to be thankful for, isn't there? I also had, let me not say negative things. Let me focus on the positive. Couple of things. There was one major turning point in my life when I was in Utah. and it's religion related. Shocker, right? Being in Utah. So I did learn when I was there that when I was in Utah, I just heard so many stories about people who moved to Nevada, to Vegas, actually, not just Nevada, but who moved to Vegas and changed their lives. They moved to Vegas to start over. Some of them would move back to Utah, but there were so many stories about, and I thought, it seems Las Vegas is synonymous with starting over. And it's so ironic in my mind because it's Sin City. You go there to commit sins, no? Or you go there to start over. So I say all that to say, I think that was so ingrained in my brain that Las Vegas became, after, like I think I already mentioned that, after Las Vegas, my life changed in Vegas. I changed it myself. And from then on, I was not to be the same again. I did go from living in my place that I loved and whatever. There I woke up and I realized, oof, it's time to catch up on some bucket list shit. And I wanted to buy a house by a certain age. So I gave up my life as I knew it, and I went and lived full-time in a truck. So during that time, I was unstable regarding what is my zip code, what's my address, that kind of thing. I had no base, and my stuff was in storage, and some I donated. And I was traveling across the country. I did go on a couple of dates during that time. Well, first of all, I was in a relationship when I wasn't in a relationship when I went on the road, but whatever. Obviously, it just, whatever. Did I blog about that relationship? I don't know, who cares? Yeah, I did. So I'm on the road and that relationship fell apart and bye-bye. I wanted to know if it would or it wouldn't, or if he would let me go or not. Or I wanted to, it was part of a test. So I'm glad I went. The pace of my life changed. I'm not going to say it slowed down, but with regards to I'm not trying to go on a date. I've not gone on a date since I moved here. Not super trying to go on a date. I would like to find somebody. But yeah, I was just thinking it was so... Oh, and now what I wanted to say, then we'll wrap it up. Now, with regards to success, I'm probably, well, not probably, I am more successful now financially and more stable. Not just financially, but just as a person, etc., etc. And I'm not really trying to date, first of all, anybody. And also, if I do, it has to be somebody out of this world. Because the standards, now I know, the value that I've just reasoned by over the last few years. Because, I've been investing in myself. And I know now it can't just be any old Tom, Dick, and Harry. Now I have a couple cars. I have some money in the bank. I've always had some money in the bank, but I obviously have more now. I have my own, business. I live in the middle of nowhere, so maybe that is going to be but I don't care. I don't give a shit. And that's another thing, the lack of fucks that I give is just, I feel like it adds to my availability and my dating worthiness. I don't care about much. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody like me. I'm trying to make anybody love me. You can go ahead and fuck right off, sir or madam or other. Respectfully. You want to date me? I'd like you to be more successful than I am, preferably. You can have one house, but hopefully, it won't be here. That kind of thing. And it's going to sound probably vain, but it shouldn't sound vain. Why should it sound vain? Why is this Bluetooth thing red again? But it was fully charged last time I checked. Anyway, so yeah, I'm like, I don't. Now, those guys who are probably still on those. Also, I'm not trying to date anybody on a dating site. No, me and Pam. We're not doing that. I don't know how I'm going to find somebody, who I'm going to find, etc. But I'm just not putting effort at all into dating. We're done with that. Now that everybody's on the dating site trying to find each other, smiling and filtering themselves and AIing their profiles, no, ma'am, Pam, not interested. I'm not trying to do that. It may sound a little counterproductive, like, well then, Brooke, how are you going to find somebody? Everybody is online. Well, that's too bad. They weren't there when I was online. Yeah, exactly, but now that's the direction. That's too bad. I guess I'm going to be a pioneer again in not dating online, just like I was a pioneer in dating online. I'm very well aware of how narcissistic and big-headed I sound, by the way, and I'm okay with that, too. I think you have to have an element of that in your life. I have 3 eBay stores. My Brook is the one that I'm on right now. The other one is Tracker Brook. And the other one is the lovely Brook. Oh, so the one I just sent last week, they said, thanks. You're welcome. Before that, I sold one of the pens I wanted for myself. And they said, these vintage pens are in wonderful shape. Yay. Before that, as described, would buy again from seller. What do people mean when they say that? Really nice shirt for great price. Abercrombie. What is that? Oh, I remember that. As described, thank you, fast shipping, easy. I love that. Just lovely. Love that. Also, there was a typo there. It was Montgomery. Chiffon, V-neck. Oh yeah, I remember that. So yeah, it's nice when people can appreciate. Well, I think a lot of them do appreciate, but when they're kind enough to take the time to thank you and give you good feedback. So let me get out of here. This is probably one of my longer ones because I rambled a little in between, and I just feel good overall. Could have been worse, right? Could have been crying instead, but I'm not. At Brook everywhere.